Hello everyone, welcome to our Let's Play series of Shadowrun Dragonfall. This is Colonel RPG as usual, and I'm very happy that you're supposed to join me today as we go around and I'm not really sure. Yeah, and we have Dante following us. Not really sure where we're going. It says Nurf, I don't actually know. Mitar Biter? I don't know what that means. I don't know German. I'm very bad. Oh, that's the exit. The streets. Yeah, we do need to go to the streets because we're going to a soy... What is it? A soy made of soy calf? Is it soy calf? Or is it the other one? Very common staple of cyberpunk settings. Soy was seen as a superfood back in the 80s. Actually, back in the 70s, as far as I know. Which is when cyberpunk started. It was seen as a superfood that everything could be made out of. And also closely related to the expansion of the Japanese market across the world and the influence and culture. It's not by mistake that it's all neons and stuff. It's very influenced in Okaiza? What's that famous Japanese neighborhood that has a lot of neons? That's Cyberpunk City right there. And we have our cache. We have a machete. That's I am very good at the names. Ooh, this is good. Double click doesn't work. Right click, shift click, control click, alt click, drag and drop. Yes. Look at me knowing how to play. We have Dante. Dante doesn't have... Ooh, he can have a trauma kit. That's pretty good. And the reason why it's pretty good... Wait a minute. Okay, it's not good. I was gonna say the reason why it's good... Oof. Why? Ooh, look at that. It's all buggy. Look at this. Look at the distance between the mouse and the icon. I don't know anything. Anyway, I wanted to sort through it, but I can't. So I'm very angry now. Revert. Confirm. Let's have a chat with everybody, because that's what we're doing. And this is, Iger. I was trying to remember the name. Still, it's gonna be a while. I don't even know what mnemonic I might be able to use for Iger. Do I know any Iger from, like, famous people? Probably not. I don't know. She's probably named after somebody. I just, you know, there's a lot of references everywhere, and I just don't see them because I don't know them. Iger glares at you, and you can taste the bile in her stare. She clearly still blames you for Monica's death. Something I can do for you, fearless leader. You're wrong about me, Iger, and I intend to prove that to you. She stares at you for a moment and then looks away. Best of luck with that, Edie. Now please, leave me alone. Not just yet. There's something else I wanted to say. Alright, but make it quick. Yeah, we need to talk about Monica. Not right now, we don't. Don't push me on this, Edie. One of these days we're gonna hash this out and you can talk all you like about the clusterfuck that killed one of my best friends. But it won't be today. Alright. This conversation isn't over, though. It is for now, fearless leader. She turns away. Do us both a favor. Take the hint and go away. It's not a hint, it's an explicit request. Specifically, it's not a hint. Hi. And, Glory. That's right. Glory is beautiful in a wayfish sort of way. I looked it up, what wayfish was. She doesn't seem wayfish to me. Do I not know what wayfish... So, the first time I saw waif written was in I don't actually know what book it is. It's in a Song of Ice and Fire, one of the books. If you don't know what A Song of Ice and Fire is, it's the book series that gave birth to the Game of Thrones TV series. Anyway, there's one particular character that's just called the Waif, and I didn't even think of looking it up. But yeah, then I saw it, I think in maybe Wayfish specifically, like in Darkest Dungeon or something, and I looked it up. And let me look it up just now. Okay, so according to Merriam-Webster's online dictionary, there's 3 definitions of the well, there's 3 definitions anyway. There's for what we're looking here, the second one is what I was thinking of, an extremely thin and unusually young woman. And we can see very much from here. because we're very far away, although I could zoom in, not from here, not in this screen, though. But she doesn't look very thin. Look at her features. And she doesn't look very thin from here as well. But it could be the pants just padding a lot. And anyway, all I'm saying is she's well garnished. She's the very beautiful, in sort of probably the more conventional type of way. Although it could be, for all I know, it just could be that they wrote this and then designed her after. And then there's the first definition: a stray person or animal, something found without an owner and especially by chance. Which I think might be the characterization of just maybe her unkempt hair. Although that's not very unkempt. It is sort of unkempt, but it's, you know, in video games just sort of make the hair a lot tidier. This is just normal hair. And her eye shadow is very... She's like a goth. She's goth, I think. Maybe. So I don't know what that word is. Anyway, back to the thing. Her features are almost elvish in their delicacy, but there's something cold about her that you find slightly unsettling. What's more unsettling is her chrome. Glory is rocking a heavy loadout of cyberware. Chrome. I think that's the nickname they give to cyberware specifically, and it's introduced here in the text so that we can know what it is. But that's a really cool way. Just look at that chrome that girl is packing or something. Glory is rocking a heavy loadout of cyberware from head to toe. She looks to be composed more of plastic and metal than she is of skin and bone. But she got plenty of meat though. In the shadows, individuals such as this are anything but uncommon. But Glory's cyberware is first generation, all of it. Bulky, invasive, practically museum pieces. This chrome was obsolete well before she was born. Edie? Glory shifts her gaze to you, but her expression is as cold and placid as always. Can I help you? Hey, Glory. How are you holding up? Don't worry about me. I'm solid. You sure? Let's go with this one instead of this one. She's obviously not, like, because the first question that I can ask is, you sure? You look like you're a million miles away. And if I put myself in her feet, I would say, of course I'm a million miles away. That doesn't mean I'm not solid. She's grieving. And honestly, I don't need to ask that. She answered me already. Let's go with this one. If you say you're good, you're good. I trust you. Glory's expression remains neutral, but she grants you a barely perceptible nod. Any thoughts on what we should do next? Find our missing client, extract some answers. Beyond that, find another Decker. Monica won't be easy to replace. Best start looking now. Yeah, I have a question for you, Glory, of the personal kind. I don't know what questions those might be, but the option was there, so I asked. I'm not big on sharing, sport. Personal reasons. You understand, I'm sure? The edge in her voice tells you that she's not interested in continuing this conversation. Which I probably should read into. Or maybe not. Let's see. I'm trying to read into the writing of the game as well as thinking about what a person saying what she's saying might be feeling. Which is... I'm not sure. They're not necessarily the same thing. In this setting, I think she's being portrayed as reserved. She really reminds me... I don't remember her name, though. We had a Decker in Hong Kong, in Shadowrun Hong Kong. We had a Decker. She was also well, she wasn't goth, I don't think, but she was pretty moody in her appearance, and also as well as her demeanor. I remember her giving her a voice that probably didn't do her very many favors in regards to how emotional she was, because her writing is actually very emotional. I really enjoyed that character. And in fact, I enjoyed the shaman as well. They were friends. They were very close friends, the two of them. In the first game, and I think in the third game specifically in Hong Kong, and I think those two characters are really interesting because they work together in the writing without actually interacting all that much, which is like the memory that they made on me. Those two characters works on like dealing with them both rather than on an individual level, which is not very common. But I don't remember their names. I know the shaman was an orc. I also remember that they were pretty young, which is something that I didn't know what it meant in that game. But I don't think there's issues of that in this setting. or in this setting, in this game, I should say. Of how they're all above board, as it were, in regards to not being talking to a minor, which is pretty important under these circumstances, because there's a lot of heavy subjects, and yeah, it's just, you know, and privacy as well, which is in Hong Kong, in the Hong Kong thing, is a little bit more of a concern every once in a while, specifically with the shaman, because she invites you to her room a couple of times to just party, and yeah, I figure they're all adults in that game, but they do come across, specifically the shaman does come across as a little bit of childish. I don't know why, but I don't remember the name of the character. Let me look it up, actually. How could I have forgotten? Isobel! Isobel! Ah, man, how could I have forgotten? And now looking at their portraits, the makeup in Isobel's face is completely different, but she does have very prominent makeup, so maybe that, and also her hair was, I remember her hair being curly, because I'm finding out right now, I'm looking, you're not seeing it on screen, but I'm finding out that she's Somali. She has very dark skin as well, which I guess explains the hair as well. She was an elf, I believe. Was she? No, she's a dwarf. Oh, dwarves have pointy ears in this setting. Huh, I didn't know that. Anyway, Gloria reminds me of Isobel, and Isobel was very secluded as well, although for, I think, different reasons. So let's basically all this to decide to push her instead of acquiescing to her obvious request to be left alone. If you ever want to run with me again, you'll answer my questions now. My God. Let's go with this one. Of course, we all have our secrets, but if you ever want to talk, I'm here. Well, she didn't say anything. Edie, what do you need? Well, I guess that's it. Suit yourself. Yeah, I'm not gonna push. No, should I push? I should push. Can I save while in action? Don't worry about it. I should push. I should definitely go back to there. Yeah. And she says the same thing. Let's say the first one. Sure, I understand, but I still need to talk to you. Gloria lets out a weary sigh. Ask your questions, but do it quickly. I have things to do. You can't have started running the shadows much more than 5 years ago, tops. So what's with the vintage chrome? It was cheap. It gets the job done. End of discussion. I don't think so, I'm gonna say. I've known a lot of street Sams in my time, but I've never met anyone who'd voluntarily install cyberware that old. You're right, there's more to it than I'm letting out, but I'm not interested in talking about it. Oh, okay, well, I'm gonna ask this. I can't help but notice that you seem guarded. Withdrawn. This is very, very obvious that I'm pushing it. That's my problem and none of your concern, she says. If you talk to me, I can help. I doubt it, chummer. I doubt it very much. But I appreciate the sentiment. Maybe later. Maybe when we know one another better, we can get into it. Now, is there anything else you need? Nope. Yeah, you do. Okay. So we talked to everybody. And we have Dante with us. And I'm not sure I'm taking the team with me. I don't remember if I took the team with me in Shadowrun Hong Kong after we found our own... This is Hall of our Hall, or is this like a front, a shop or something? After I... Yeah, yeah, this is normal. We go by ourselves instead of having the team as a backup. So this is the I'm sorry. Rain Nuger. That's definitely not what it is. It's all German words. Donations for the soup kitchen have slowed, Samuel, says that dude over there. I'm not surprised. Altruism often comes with an expiration date. At the sound of your approach, the orc turns to face you. He wears a severe expression, but there is kindness in his eyes. Guten Tag, brother orc. Is there something that I can do for you? I couldn't help overhearing your conversation. I take it that you run a charity of some sort? Yes. It isn't much, but we do what we can. Such as? Give me specifics. He clears his throat and then begins to count off on his fingers. In the past several years, I have established a shelter where the dispossessed can sleep, a soup kitchen to feed the hungry, and a library for the people of the Cruise Bazaar to better themselves. It isn't much, I admit, but it's a start. A good start, Samuel. You mustn't be so hard on yourself. There are limits to what one man, even a determined man, can accomplish. That's true, he nods to the orc at his side. Thankfully, some of the residents that I've helped over the years have come back around to help me. I've gotten 15 assorted orcs and trolls from all around the Cruise Bazaar working with me now. They help me mend the soup line, stock the library shelves, and to do all the hundreds of other little things that a community organization needs done every day. These are extraordinary individuals and living proof that what we do here has value. They're my inspiration to continue forward. She beams at the compliment. From her body language, it's clear that she idolizes Beckenbauer, which is the orc that we're talking to. Now, do you have any more questions? If not, I will bid you good day. I don't wish to sound self-important or rude, but there are many pressing matters that demand my time. 15 assorted orcs and trolls. Does that mean that other races aren't welcome within your organization? Even though... Is that what I would think? Like, from what, why, is that what, it's weird. I would think that, does that mean you only serve, orcs and trolls? Because it would make more sense, that if that were the case. Because if he only served orcs and trolls, or at least, if that were the majority, which is actually probably the case, it's the majority of his clients, because, orcs and trolls are discriminated against, in this setting. And that's probably where the offset comes from. Although there could be other reasons. Also, the one reason could be this one, but I wouldn't think that. Let's go with that, though. See what happens. That's taking a rather narrow view of what we do. Yes, it is true that my assistants are all members of the goblinoid races. It is also true that before they accepted my help, they were thieves, gangers, and deadbeats. This is not because were bad people. This is because those of us with goblinoid traits are feared, mistreated, and denied gainful employment by a society that hates us. I hire only goblinoids because mainstream human society has created a need for me to hire only goblinoids. The orcs and trolls of the Cruise Bazaar deserve a workplace where they will be treated with dignity and respect. All that being said, our services are available to all. We wouldn't turn a desperate person away, regardless of that person's metatype. Even humans, the most privileged of all races, are welcome at our door. Isn't that what's most important? And I can say what I want over here based on me being an orc or a troll, but I'm specifically an orc. And yeah, this is what I was saying. It's due to discrimination. This obviously mimics real life racial tensions and the effects of real life racism in regards to the distribution. Well, specifically the distribution of how he put it, gainful employment, which I believe is the correct term, but I don't know why you say that instead of just being jobs. I don't know why you just don't say jobs. I think there's a reason why you would specify gainful employment, because I think I know why. Centering the discussion around jobs misses the point that you know, as a person who is discriminated against, you're not necessarily incapable of finding work as in general. That's not the problem, or not as much the problem. The problem is specifically finding work under other people, and in a system that in the system it probably is everybody is working under other people. Because it's a dystopia and the corporations control everything and it's a bunch of other things. But specifically in a system that prioritizes people working under other people, that is where gainful employment comes in. And not only they could be paid less. They could only get worse jobs, or worse jobs that are paid less, not just being paid less for the same job as other races, which is also an effect of real life racism, because this is obviously a parallel. But of course not being able to find those jobs at all in the first place. And those can come from many different types of discrimination and systemic racism, not just not just because the employers are mean. It like you can have a society without anybody being quote racist unquote, and still there could be racism because racism is systemic. So if you have a system that, for example, I'm just thinking out loud really. If you have a system that educates orcs and trolls worse for whatever reason, then have a job system that gives better jobs or gives jobs at all to people who are educated, then the result is that orcs and trolls will not get as many jobs or jobs at all because they're not as educated. If you have a system, if you have a system where that prioritizes, let's say, I don't know, it doesn't necessarily work as well. It doesn't necessarily work as well if you discount the tacit racism of society. Like, for example, the way, black people don't get hired for front desks as much as white people do, per capita, just because of the racism of other people. A black face in a doctor's office at the front, or I say doctor's office, but it's probably not the best of examples because everybody needs to go to the doctor's office anyway. But as a clerk or something like that, can offend and does offend racists, where a white face doesn't offend anybody, and that's why privilege comes in. Of course, I'm not the best person to talk about this, but it does point, like what he's saying here, what Samuel is saying here specifically, is talking about not really the statistics, but what statistics look at, in the sense that orcs don't get given as many good or as many jobs or as many or as much money for the jobs that they do get, which then ends up meaning that they either get poorer education or they have more trouble with their mental health, which is also a tremendous issue, because people who are suffering from mental health issues like depression and untreated mental conditions is also a tremendously it affects people's lives in a tremendous way, and it also affects the way kids are raised, and that's not even accounting for how the trauma of racism itself, which in this case it's described as discrimination rather than necessarily racism, which I think is a good thing, because in just calling it's not necessarily like the metaphor it's well enough understood that it's a metaphor for real life racism, and I think this is actually done very well the way it's done over here, because it's important to understand these conditions to understand the full extent of racism in society. But to call it in this setting just racism, I think it's in poor taste. But it's not called that, obviously, but I think it's in poor taste because it's sort of like, it's a fantasy setting, and it's already pretty racialized because they're all races and orcs and trolls and all that sort of stuff, and it's just sort of, not only is it's also in another way calling people who are victims of racism in real life, making them analogous to orcs and trolls, which, like, personally I love orcs and trolls, especially in Shadowrun. I think they're badass and cool, but it's sort of in poor taste anyway, and it's a good thing that they don't call it racism. But it tends to be it's definitely what it is a metaphor for, this sort of discrimination. So, yeah, that's why you see numbers like this in terms of crime, and of course in terms of people who need assistance. Let's see. So, yeah, I'm gonna go with these two. I agree that giving our people a sense of pride is important, but this isn't the right way to going about it. Ooh, that is an interesting way of saying. Because you could, I want to go with that, because I wonder what my character is gonna say after that. Because you're just saying you're not doing what you're doing is not the right way of doing it. What are you gonna say to that? Are you gonna talk about the things I just talked about, or are you gonna go and say, I don't know, you should just make them less lazy, or something? Because accusing trolls and orcs of being lazy and that's why they don't get as much money, would be another parallel to real-life racism. And then this one is over here. Over here is I'm with you. If there were more places out there that did what you're doing, there would be less need for people like me to run the shadows. Huh. Would there? It's actually that's a theme. I don't know that it is observed in the setting. Shadowrunners can have multiple. I suppose a Shadowrunner, like you being a Shadowrunner doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean that you're serving one thing or another, or the corporations, or the police, or the less, or the impoverished or whatnot. You can be a Shadowrunner and serve anybody really. However, it does in this setting. It does tend to be that a Shadowrunner will serve the rich more than the poor, because we're doing jobs for people and are receiving money for it. So obviously, it's the people with money that actually get the benefit from us doing those jobs. So I'm not really sure. I mean, I suppose there would be fewer Shadowrunners, but there's no. I'm not a Shadowrunner because I'm poor, or I was poorly educated, or my dad didn't get treated for addiction. I'm a Shadowrunner because of other things, as far as I know. Anyway, I didn't really build my character out, but it's not, you know. And there's a bunch of other Shadowrunners that are not trolls and orcs. Although in our team. No, I don't know what the other ones are. I think human, and I don't remember. I don't think of their races really when I'm talking to them. I'm constantly thinking of their voices when I'm talking with them, so I don't really think about their race. I need to pay attention to that. Although I do remember the truck driver, or the driver anyway, being a troll, obviously, and I remember. The ears of the last one that the Glory? Yeah, the ears of Glory are rounded. Because I was looking at her specifically about her features when I was talking about how hot she is, basically. I'm going to go with this one and see what happens here. Please, mein Frende. He shakes his head. Don't make this into something it isn't. Who the hell are you to question Samuel? What have you done for the Cruz Bazaar? No, says Samuel. There are more important things to do than argue about this. I'm sure that his heart is in the right place. Now, please, friend, there are many tasks that demand my attention. Is there something that you need, or shall I bid you farewell? Well, it's very nice of him to think well of me, although I kind of wish that I would be able to actually say something about something after that. Are you accepting donations? Yes, of course. We're actually desperate for them, truth be told. People seem more intent on taking care of themselves than they are in providing for the less fortunate. Of course, yeah, that's what happens when you pit people against people, and then, of course, they're going to take care of themselves first, because they don't know tomorrow. It's the system. It's again back to the system. Of course, these concepts are not unrelated. Thank you for saying what I was saying. As poverty rates increase, so does the crime rate. Assisting the needy increases the quality of life, after all. In any event, our shelter has some basic needs that desperately need to be filled. The walls of the shelter are not insulated, and new blankets would go a long way toward keeping our guests healthy and comfortable. Ideally, we'd like to purchase some space heaters as well. With 250 new yen, we could make the purchase. Whatever you could spare would be most appreciated. Yeah, here, just take what you need. I've got it covered. Samuel's eyes widen. This is incredibly generous. Thank you, my friend. My friend. I will look it. Let me look it up. Let me look it up. It's mein Freund. Freund. The R is weird. The R is I can't pronounce that. But Freund. It's closer. The closest I can get. No big deal, Sam. Do good with it. With this donation, we have reached our first goal. Thank you so much for your kind assistance. I will put your contribution to work stocking the shelter with blankets and heaters. Not a problem. Please do not downplay your contribution. You have shown kindness at a time when few others will. That means something. It means a great deal. Are you accepting donations? Not just at the moment, friend. I'm still working on putting the money that you have already donated to good use. With an extra O over there. Give us some time and we will set a new goal. But for now, spend your new yen on yourself. You deserve it. That is cool. I think it's gonna happen that we can come back over and over again and give some money. I actually don't know how much money I have, but I don't think I'm gonna need it. I really don't know if I'm gonna need it or not. 1,000 new yuan, and besides, we get extra. That was basically nothing. To be fair, that was really not that much. Anyway, we're out of time for the day, so for right now, I'm Colonel RPG, and this has been Shadowrun Dragonfall. I really hope you've enjoyed it, and if you did, go ahead and leave a comment. Like the video if you want to see the next episode come out sooner rather than later, and I have hiccups. Boy, thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.